President Trump pushing Turkey to release Christian pastor. Here's the tweet. A total disgrace that Turkey will not release a respected U.S. pastor, Andrew Brunson, from prison. He's been held hostage far too long. Erdogan, that's Turkey's president, should do something to free this wonderful Christian husband and father. He's done nothing wrong, and his family needs him. Joining us now, General Jack Keane, Fox News senior strategic analyst. Turkey is our military ally. It's a member of NATO. Have we got a big dispute going now?
We've had problems with Turkey for some time. First one recently was the border between Turkey and Syria. They kept that border open despite the fact that they said they shut it down. That is how ISIS grew from several hundred Iraqi fighters to close to 30,000. They all came across that border, and Erdogan let that happen. He miscalculated. He thought that ISIS would take on the Assad regime, and that's why he facilitated that. ISIS was interested in building a caliphate. They didn't go west towards the Assad regime. They went east to take over Iraq. Big mistake.
Well, I mean, do we have any leverage on Turkey to stop them doing that? Or that kind of thing? We
don't have much leverage. And Erdogan, as we all know, is moving towards a dictatorship. It's an authoritarian regime right now. What's really got our consternation, though, is that he's buying the most sophisticated Russian missile defense system. For a NATO country to be doing that, that is as outrageous as what President Trump called Angela Merkel out for paying for a pipeline from Russia into Germany. It's of that kind of stature, and it's a huge strategic mistake to allow that to happen.
The Democrats think they want to subpoena President Trump's translator in that private meeting with President Putin at the summit 3 or 4 days ago. Do you think that that's a good idea, or should our president be allowed to conduct foreign policy in absolute secrecy?
Well, that's an absurdity. Subpoenaing a translator, that will not happen. The government will not permit that, certainly to expose that woman to that degree of scrutiny. And listen, the president did with Putin exactly what George Bush did with Putin. His first meeting with Putin was the two of them together with an interpreter each, and then they went into a bilateral with their staffs over lunch. It was exactly the same thing and followed with a press conference. Same menu. Of course a president has a right to talk to a foreign leader without his staff around so they can get to know each other and have meaningful discussions. The staffs are going to know exactly what took place. The president's not going to keep that from anybody.
You're still not happy, though, with what President Trump said about that meeting and about the relationship with Russia. You're not happy?
Oh, no. He made a mistake. Look, he's admitted his mistake. We're moving on. What I am happy about is our policies with Russia are the toughest since Ronald Reagan, and that's a fact. And Putin knows that. He went into that meeting and he came out of that meeting knowing that the United States has pushed back on him more than the 3 previous presidents, and no president since Ronald Reagan has had these tough, demanding policies.
That's a fascinating analysis there, because we've not heard that. All we've heard is, we just kowtowed to the Russians. We played their game.
The one that Putin really pays attention to, we got the Trump military buildup, comparable to the Reagan military buildup, which was a contributor to forcing the collapse of the Soviet Union. Putin is looking at that, and he knows America is on the march. The decline in the military is over. More capabilities are coming. And, of course, the NATO defense budget's another thing. And we have put more troops on the Eastern European border than what we've had in the past, and we need to put more. He pays attention to all of that.